Okay, so we want to find a 95% confidence interval for the mean selling price of the homes. So this is your Chapter 9 homework. So either you found or last week we were given that the mean equals 221.1029. And what we want to do, so let's kind of draw this out. That's going to be my mean, 221.1029. And I want to find the interval that has 95% of this data. So if you look in your textbook on, let's see, let's find a good page here, page 262. They give you the formula and say that you take your sample data plus or minus the z-value times the standard deviation divided by the square root of n. Well, in this case, what I'm calling mu is my sample data. All right, so I don't really have the population, but I want to make this 95% confidence interval. So you look up in the Z table, or you actually get where you find these written in a table, that 95% confidence is at a Z value of 1.96. Okay, and again, how did I get that value? Either one, you find in a Z table where 95% or 0.95 of the data is accumulated, or as I mentioned before, you will see like this for 95%. If you have a 90%, your Z is 1.65, and these are values that you just use over and over and over. All right, so that means all I need to do is take this formula. So I have x bar plus or minus Z over the standard deviation of the square root of n. The lower end will be the minus and the upper will be the plus. So the lower will be x bar, which is 221.1029. I think I'm missing a number there, 1. Minus my z, I just said, is 1.96. In Excel, or again in last week, you can find the standard deviation of the data was given as 47.1054. So either 1, you just look in last week's homework, it told you this, or 2, you should know how to actually calculate the standard deviation in Excel. And then divided by the square root of n, where the n is your sample size, and there were 105 data values. And so that's the lower. The upper, you do the same exact way. The only difference is, instead of minus, you do the plus. So 1.96, 47.1054 over the square root of n. And for the lower, I get something around 212, say 09, and the upper 230.11, which makes sense because if I go back up here and write it, my 230 and my 212 would look to be cutoffs, because the 212 is below the 221 and the 230 is above it. So that would be my interval, and you typically see it written like this in interval notation. And so that's how you do part A of your homework. So part B and C, you just do exactly the same thing but with different data, because part B is distance from the home, and then part C is going to be a little bit different. That's a proportion. Okay, so if you have any questions on that, ask me, or if you have any questions on what I just did.